So we were driving home from North Carolina after Thanksgiving, and we were merging from 81 onto 70 in Maryland. And my boyfriend rears back for a sneeze. And you should know that he doesn't like to sneeze. And so he clamps down his mouth and covers his nose, and it makes the loudest sound known to man as it explodes out of his eardrums. So he rears back for this sneeze and lets out a big one. And at the same exact time, every single warning light in my car goes off. It goes into what I now know is limp mode, because if it's going to explode, it should do it at 30 miles an hour and not 70. And so I'm merging onto a 70-mile-per-hour highway at 30-ish miles, like my car can't get out of first gear. And despite the fact that my boyfriend has absolutely caused this issue, I turned to him right away and was like, "What do I do?" And he was like, "Pull over." So I'm pulled over on the side of the highway, which as an adult actually has never happened to me. And he is pulling out the owner's manual of this 2-year-old car to figure out, like, what do all the warning lights mean? And we figure out the most pertinent one says AT temp. I am at temp. And I think, okay, my car's just overheated. He's shaking his head because that's actually not what at temp means. For the car people in the room, that's an automatic transition temperature sensor. So we're on the side of the road, and the owner's manual says to fix this, you should idle your car until the light goes off, and it could take up to 40 minutes. So we're going to sit on the side of a highway for 40 minutes, and I'm just going to wait for something to happen. Which it does pretty quickly, in fact. In my rearview mirror, I can see a cop coming up behind me. And I am convinced that I'm about to be arrested for breaking down on the side of a highway. But he just comes on by and says, like, "Hey, like, you guys, you good?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, my car's just at temp. We're waiting for it to cool down." And he's like, "Okay." So he goes on. And about maybe 10 minutes later, a tow truck comes up behind me. And I'm like, "Can people just call a tow truck for you?" And it actually looks like he's going to ram into the back of our vehicle because he is not there for me. He's just there to avoid the traffic on the highway, and he's driving on the shoulder. So he swerves back into traffic and goes around, and I am begging 40 minutes to go by faster. And eventually it does, and the light on my dashboard has not gone off. And I'm like, well, I can't live here. So we merged back into traffic and went another mile and a half to get off the highway, pulled into his sheets, and I called my mechanic friend and said, like, "I'm at temp. Like, what do I do?" And he's like, "Well, I think you could probably drive it home. Like, just, like, be careful." And I'm like, "Well, does that void the warranty?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, I don't think it should, but I don't know." I'm like, "That's not helpful." And so I call the local Subaru dealer in Hagerstown, Maryland, and I say, "Here's the issue. What do I do?" And they said, "We don't diagnose that over the phone, but you could come in. We close at 3 o'clock. It's a Saturday, and it's like 2:32. So now I'm trying to drive as quickly as possible to the Subaru, but also as slowly as I can because maybe my car will explode. And we get in there, and they take it back. The tech is looking at it, and the salesperson, chatty to the ends of the earth, I learned about his wife, but also his ex-wife, and how that happened, his dog, how I could take my dog to a Subaru festival that happens at the fairgrounds here in York. And a while later, the tech comes out, and he's like, "The sensor went off, so I think you could drive home, but you should get that checked out." It's far past their closing time at this point. So bless the Hagerstown Subaru team. But we drive home uneventfully, get it checked out, repair was under warranty, and all's well that ends well. But what I learned on that trip is that when my boyfriend rears back for a sneeze, watch out.